But let's go a little deeper than bubble baths for a second. The best self care I know isn't just rest, it's release. Releasing who you used to be, what used to define you, and what used to get you approval. We're not the same people we once were, thankfully. But all that growth also means some big identity shifts. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Kristi Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Kristi Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, Foster fam. Welcome back. Hey, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave a star rating and a quick review. It's easy to do, and it makes a huge impact for the podcast. Now, I listen to podcasts on Apple Podcasts, but I'm also on Spotify and Amazon. But if you're on Apple Podcasts and you want to just do a quick follow along, grab your phone, open podcasts, go to your library, go to shows. You should find me in your library. Subscribe to my show if you don't. Then just scroll past the abbreviated list of episodes and you'll see the ratings and review section. From there, you can just tap on the 5 stars and then you'll see just a little bit further down where it says write a review. That's a great place to talk about the valuable takeaways you've had and what you've enjoyed about the podcast and maybe even what you'd like me to talk about. I know you can do similar processes on Spotify and Amazon and other platforms as well, so please take a minute to do that. Today, we're going to be diving into the topic of self-care, and my take on it might surprise you a little bit. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you a question that was posed to me, and it just gave me a good opportunity to reflect and learn more about myself and about the people in my life. So here was the question. What helps you settle in and be yourself? When interacting with people, what is the thing that happens that makes you just really feel like you can be unapologetically yourself, unfiltered? Is it their self-deprecating humor? Is it being able to share personal stories? Is it that they ask good questions? Think about the people that you are most at ease around, the people who you feel really know you and that you can relax around. What about them or your exchanges make that level of authenticity possible? Now, there are people that you have known for a long time, have long time connections with. For me, I am completely disarmed and unguarded when I'm with my mom and my sister. That longevity of shared experiences, shared humor, shared vulnerability, there's just natural flow, unscripted conversations, inside jokes, spontaneous singing, and all those things help me settle in. And I know I can be completely myself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But what about when you're with folks that you don't have history with? How do you quickly become your most authentic self? And how do you help them show up as their most authentic self? Because what's the alternative? It's being defensive, performative, protective, and guarded, right? This is what you're facing with jurors, or even before that, with witnesses you're deposing. If you're fine with interactions that always feel guarded, that never cut through or stay on the surface and feel inauthentic or performative, well, don't ask the question then. But if you want something different, if you want true human connection, and if you want to set folks at ease in your presence, then you must ask the question and consider it with each new encounter. For me, I naturally feel at ease when I feel like someone is genuinely curious and allows me to be curious. That mutual respect that is communicated when you bring true curiosity and a true desire to understand another human, to have access to their perspective without judgment, that respect goes a long way to bridging over to authentic connection. So what do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email, Kristi@fostervoicestudio.com, or send me a DM to share your thoughts on what types of qualities in yourself or in others that help you ultimately facilitate authentic connection and ease. Knowing the answer to that will transform your depots and your voir dire. You know what I hate? Being misunderstood. It's actually one of my biggest fears, if I'm honest, right up there with birds. Yes, I'm afraid of birds. Leave me alone about it already. Being misunderstood is just the worst, though. Trying to communicate something and seeing that it's just not landing the way you intend. Too harsh of tone with your kid or spouse that ended up setting them off. A thinking face that got interpreted as annoyance or irritation and ended up shutting down the conversation and leaving you baffled. It's so frustrating in our personal lives, but in the courtroom, your mismatched communication profile could break your case and lose you a deserving verdict. So, I've created a free guide to get you thinking about the emotional profiles you create. It's a printable guide to help you 10x your communication impact by mastering 6 emotional profiles for clear and authentic connection. I break down the 6 core emotions: happy, sad, love, pride, anger, and fear by giving you face, body, and breathing cues. Plus, I show you exactly which point on a 1 to 10 scale you should be with your pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone in order to authentically capture the center of that core emotion. The link to get your free guide is in the show notes or by simply going to my website, fostervoicestudio.com. Don't wait to clear up your part of miscommunication and misunderstandings. Get your free download today. One of the greatest compliments of my life came from my friend Alan. Now, we were both in the pit orchestra of a musical. Alan was conducting, I was on keys, and it was one of those multi-week gigs with long rehearsal nights and quick turnarounds. And I didn't live too far from the venue, but far enough to feel like a little stressed about getting enough sleep and fighting traffic in the morning. So, just to save myself from the late night drive and the early morning chaos, I booked a room at a hotel just around the corner from the venue. Total staycation energy. I was telling the other musicians about my little plan while we were visiting before the show got underway. And Alan just chimed in casually and said, "Kristi's always been really good about her self-care." And I froze. I had such conflicted emotions. First, I thought, that is the nicest thing he has ever said to me. What a compliment! But equally so, I was worried about being seen as frivolous or self-indulgent, bougie, like, oh, look at her, she needs a hotel for a local gig. I mean, isn't that just telling that something we do for kindness for ourselves can still feel like something we need to apologize for? Self-care today lives in this weird tension. On one side, you've got these genuine practices that keep us healthy physically, mentally, emotionally. And on the other side, you've got the glittery, monetized version, the hashtag treat yourself with the $22 candle and a 6-step skincare routine that requires a PhD in chemistry. Have you seen that episode of the show Parks and Rec, where the characters Tom and Donna have their annual treat yourself day? One day a year, they give themselves over to self-indulgence and pampering. Now, I'm not mad at pampering. Pampering, whether it's a massage, a nap, hot towel shave, opening a special bottle of wine, isn't always indulgence. Sometimes it's nervous system regulation. Sometimes it's the only hour your brain gets quiet. And hey, if a bubble bath helps you hold a boundary or avoid snapping at your paralegal tomorrow, that's a strategic choice. In her 1988 collection of essays, Audre Lorde wrote, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." Now, she wrote that in the middle of fighting cancer and fighting oppressive systems that tried to erase her existence. So that context matters and should never be erased. But that principle, that caring for ourselves is a necessity and not a luxury, that principle rings true in all kinds of demanding professions. In the legal profession, where the demands are relentless and burnout runs high, this mindset shift is powerful. What if rest, reflection, and recovery weren't things you earned after a trial, but things you practiced to survive it? Self-care doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're still standing. Now, listen, some of the things we once considered punishment as kids, that's the dream now. There's this meme that has gone around that says, when I was a kid, being sent to my room was punishment. Now it's a vacation. Or being grounded as a kid, torture. Being grounded as an adult, a blessing. I wish someone would ground me and send me to my room for a timeout. Just to sit there bored. I mean, when was the last time you were bored? Now, when I was bored as a kid, I'd tell my mom and she'd say, "Well, I can find something for you to do," which that meant chores. So we learned quickly boredom leads to bathrooms that need scrubbing, and we'd disappear real fast. Now, I would pay good money to be bored. Quiet time, naps, early bedtime, that's the wish list now. And that's part of the shift because sometimes we think self care has to be some big curated ritual, but sometimes it's just doing the things 8-year-old you would have considered punishment and loving it. So here's a question: what actually helps you refill your tank? Is it silence? Is it moving your body? Is it a dumb comedy with Chinese takeout? Cleaning out a drawer? And are you doing any of that regularly? Or have you convinced yourself you don't deserve it yet? But let's go a little deeper than bubble baths for a second. The best self care I know isn't just rest, it's release. Releasing who you used to be, what used to define you, and what used to get you approval. We're not the same people we once were, thankfully. But all that growth also means some big identity shifts. I mean, there was a time in high school and college when I wanted arena tours. I wanted the big stage. But then post college, I found myself loving and excelling in background vocals and loving being in the recording studio. Then I was a classroom teacher, then a private studio coach. Then I ran a theater company, which I loved. I was writing curriculum, running shows, mentoring artists, building systems, learning budgets, graphic design, all of it. And then I had to let go of that version of me too. To return to my own studio, to serve clients one on one, to start over with a new mission, eventually finding this incredibly meaningful work with trial attorneys. And now I'm a trial vocal coach and nonverbal communications consultant for high stakes litigators. And every step, every pivot meant letting go of a former identity. sometimes before others were ready for me to, and sometimes before I felt ready. But that letting go, that release and stepping into something new, that's not a crisis. That's self-care. It's pruning. And pruning directs energy towards new growth. You are not betraying yourself by moving on. You're honoring yourself by evolving. Now, not long ago, I was offered a pretty big opportunity, lucrative, low time commitment, clear value. It was something I knew I could do well. I had done it before for years, excelling at it and having a reputation for the quality of my work. But as I sat with the invitation to return to that work, even briefly, I realized taking that job would have meant stepping back into a former version of me, one that I had worked hard to evolve from. And I'll be honest, I did have a moment when I thought, are you really going to say no to that much money? Are you too good for easy work now? But I've done enough identity pruning to know this. The best self-care isn't always about creating ease. Sometimes it's about resolve, saying no, not because something's beneath you, but because it doesn't align with who you are now. So if you have been feeling like you should take a case, should take a job, say yes to a gig, show up the way you used to, ask yourself, is this who I am or just who I used to be? And if you're already feeling pulled towards the next version of you, then maybe the kindest, strongest, most care-filled thing you can do is let go with love, with thanks, and with your head held high. Let yourself grieve if you need to. Even growth can be accompanied by feelings of loss. But trust that what's ahead is more aligned than what you've outgrown. And then treat yourself. If this landed for you, send it to someone who's navigating that same shift. Or just take a nap. That counts too. And until next week, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.